All right. So today I created a mutation, several mutations for my employee object model. Previously I created a query where I can query the employees and also by first name. And today I am creating a mutation. Basically, what a mutation does, so a query allows us to get data, but a mutation allows us to to provide an input. It can be like we are creating, or we are updating, or we are deleting. So we making a change on the model. All right. All right. So that's what a mutation is meant for, and that's what I was basically trying to do. So the first one here is create employee, and as we can see, it inherits from the mutation class. If I like click this, you can see that a mutation is a convenient type that helps us build a field which takes arguments and returns a mutation output object. Yeah, um, so for the first one, we're going to be creating, okay? So let's start with this. This inner arguments class are basically the fields that we put here are what we will be passing to the mutation. So let's say if we are creating, let me first demonstrate how this works, okay? Then we can, so I already created my query here just to, so what I am passing here while creating this record. So let me say test 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So if I refresh here, nothing is there, but once I create, we can see that if I refresh, then the record is there. So what I expect to pass in my mutation while creating a new record is basically what I am putting under arguments. So these are the fields that I'll be passing while creating my record. Yeah. So and as you can see, the data types sort of match what is on the model. Of course, not exactly the same as Django. These are character fields, but Graphene also has types that kind of correlate with what we have here. So these are strings, and if you can see, if I like go to Graphene, you can see there is like string and other types. Yeah, date field, time, and all that. Yeah, so um, are the fields we put here are what we expect. Then to pass. Then what do we expect to return when we create an employee? This is what we put here. So we expect to return an employee, and this employee so we return a field, and the employee type is what we already defined here. So basically, our return will only have first name and last name. If we add any field from the model, it will also be returned. If we add it here, it will also be part of the return. And if I can go back to what I like executed here, you can see that when I created the record, then this was returned. So that is what this return is mainly about. Then we must have a mutate method, and this is where the logic for updating for creating our new record is put. So this is a class method, and in brief, a class method is a method that takes a class as the first argument, which is different from a normal method. So a normal method would take an instance as the first argument, okay? But a class method takes a class, not an instance, the actual class as the first method. So, sorry, as the first argument, yeah? So, that's what it is. I think I've tried to check the mutation class, and as you can see, uh, you know, the class is used in several ways there. So I guess that's why we are passing it. But yeah, this is a class method. Yeah. All right. So that is the first argument. Then we have root and info. These are pretty much standard. They are expected to be there. And then what we pass, you know, the arguments we wish to pass, we indicate them here. So kind of same stuff, but with what we defined here. But uh, whenever we pass, like when we what we pass here while like creating a new record, this is received in the mutation method. Yeah. So and once we receive that, so we can create an object, an instance of the employee model, and then we perform the save. And then this is where we do a return. So we return, we are basically returning this employee type um, object. Yeah. So that's about it on the create. All right, that's about it on the create. The update takes the same approach. When updating, we just want to pass first name and last name. Whatever field you want to pass while updating, you put them here. If it's just the ID you want to update, you want to pass the ID and then the fields you want to update or anything like that. So you still pass them here, add them here, same thing we done previously. And then in the event that we update, this is what will be returned. Same concept and then same idea here. The only thing is that while updating, we are getting a record, an existing record based on the condition. Um, this would be ideally like an ID, or a primary key, whatever. But I just decided to use first name and made sure that in my database I don't have duplicate names. But yeah, in 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 actuality, this would be like a unique thing, like a PK. Uh, but why I'm not using it is because my model doesn't have an ID and it's auto-generated, and there's a lot of using auto-generated IDs that I've not really checked out, but based on what I just looked through, seems like relay would be helpful to help us get the auto-generated ID. But anyway, we'll check that later. So I decided to first use first name, which we already have on our model. So we get that, and then the last name we passed, we use it for updating the last name on the employee, and then we save. So that's the update, and then we return our employee object or instance. Yeah. So if I try to update, boom. All right. So when I update, first name will be used to search for the record, and then that record will be updated with last name. Okay. So let me just check this one. Let me just delete this and ensure that I have only one uh, with that first name. Boom. Yes, I'm sure. So now that we have one record with this Gilo with the double. So I just say Gilo. So we want to update it with here we updated this, man. So that is what we will expect to happen here. So if I click that, so you can see that this actually got updated. You see that? And we are returning something, and the return is an employee object, basically instance of an employee. Same thing here, that, but you realize it only returns the fields based on, sorry, what we defined in the employee type. Yeah. All right. So if I wanted to add another field, it would be like what only among the two fields that are indicated here, the employee type. Yeah. So that's how we that's how we, you see now, this is what is returned now. So that's how we do it on the update. So delete takes the same approach where we do the same thing here. I only expect to pass one field and then return this and then get the record and then be able to delete it and then return. And then what we notice is we have a mutation class here. You see that in our schema, we basically passing a mutation and a query. So since we have mutations for update, delete, and create, we can indicate them here. And here we can indicate any number of mutations. And then ideally, when we pass this mutation to schema, all these ones will be available. Okay, all right. That's why, like, if I try to do a mutation and say some mutation, and then I open up this and boom, so you can see these are all available as indicated here. All right, so there are some docs that you can follow up. This is Graphene Python, but this is the Django, Graphene Django docs. So you can see about the mutations, basically a similar thing that we are trying to do. And one thing that I won't forget to mention is that based on here, now, so we learned that mutation can be used to create, update, and delete. But think about it. In normal Django, what do we use to do that? We use Django forms to, save, update, and delete records. Uh, in Django REST framework, what do we use? We use serializers to do the same function. So the docs kind of show that there is a way to actually like use mutations and Django forms, and also you can use mutations and serializers for Django REST framework. So maybe we'll be looking at that. I'll try to use the forms as well and see how they work, but I thought I should mention that as well. All right. And these are the docs. So this is by the way, the docs are a bit different. So there is this strictly for Graphene Python, but then there is this one, the one that for Django. All right. Same stuff, but there is a section and for Django. Yeah, so that's mainly it. See you in another video.